hold up, I am on my way, I'm in motion. Let's go to the ocean. Yeah, let's go outside. We can hang out on the beach without freezing.
Welcome to Crafty Beach. This is Julie. Today I put together 20 of my favorite fall Dollar Tree DIYs, and the theme today is blue. Each one of these fall DIYs has a little bit or a lot of blue. Now let's make a chunky pumpkin welcome sign. I'm going to use one of those galvanized metal signs from the Shore Living line, and a welcome metal sign from the fall section at Dollar Tree, 2 pumpkin signs, a wood oval, and some Dollar Tree rope. So I'm going to go ahead and start putting all my pieces together. The reason that I'm using 2 of the wood pumpkins is because I want it to be chunky, a big sign, not a super flat Dollar Tree sign. So I'm going to kind of show you how I go about getting that look. And it's another way you can deal with the thin signs from the Dollar Tree. I'm going to mix a couple colors together on this. This is turquoise, but it's a little dark, so I'm going to go ahead and mix that with some white to give me like a light turquoise color. Don't be afraid to mix your colors if you don't have like the exact shade you're looking for. I really wanted that like mint greenish blue color that's so perfect for beach decor. And we're just going to go all over the front of our top pumpkin sign, painting the whole thing that light blue color. I'm going to follow that up with a baby wipe. That way I can get a little bit of that wood grain to come through, kind of giving the stained look with that. And I'm also going to do this oval sign from the Dollar Tree in the same color because I want my pumpkin to be 3-dimensional. So this is going to be like the bump out part for the middle part of my pumpkin. I just paint all over and do the sides as well. And I gave it kind of the same finish as I did the front one. I'm going to do the edges of this pumpkin as well as the back pumpkin, just in case you can see it. I don't want any like raw wood showing through. And I also kind of go around the edges a little bit, just in case you can kind of see in there, so you don't see any of that raw wood. Now, this is where we're going to get our little welcome sign. It's one of these little galvanized metal fall words. You get 3 words in there, and we're going to do welcome, but you could do any of the words. It would be super cute. And this is one of those galvanized metal signs from the Dollar Tree from the Shore Living line. I don't craft with these a lot. I usually have trouble trying to figure out what to do with them, but we're going to actually use it for this sign. Now, some of you guys have told me it is easier to paint the galvanized metal if you coat it with Mod Podge first. And so that's what I'm doing. And I found that that does work better. It kind of gives you a surface to paint to instead of just painting straight on the metal. I'm going to follow that up with ivory acrylic, just painting in one direction to kind of give you that distressed look across of it. Too. And even though I use the Mod Podge, I still had to use a couple coats of ivory to make that nice and white. Now, I don't really want the anchor on there because I don't really have room for it. So I'm actually just going to remove it by just bending it back and forth and just popping that little tab off. I could always save that to DIY with here. But it left me this great sign. It's just the right length for one of these little metal words, the welcome. And we can just attach that on there. I think the galvanized metal is going to look really cute for like the coastal feel. Just leaving it metal like that with the ivory on the front. I did touch up the area where I kind of broke the anchor off with a little gray paint, even though it probably wasn't necessary. And then I just attach our welcome word with some hot glue. And I'm going to have this hang down. It's going to kind of be like a dangly sign hanging down from the bottom of the pumpkin. So this is our back pumpkin because remember we're going to do like a thick chunky pumpkin sign. So I just left the hanger on there and I'm just hot gluing that inside where the pumpkin's going to be. So it will hang off both sides with a piece of rope here on each side. I also glue that in place so it doesn't go too crazy. It hangs exactly where I want it to. And then to make my thick chunky sign, I'm using this thick white rope from the Dollar Tree. We're going to line the top of the edges of this pumpkin, go all the way around, and that's going to be the sides of my chunky pumpkin. This is a fun way that you can take two Dollar Tree signs, put them together, make it look super thick and more expensive looking than the thinner signs. And this turned out so cute. So I just keep going with that pumpkin shape, kind of making the curvy edges there at the bottom. I don't really want it to hang out any farther than the sides. I just want it to be a side piece. So I just hot glue that all the way around, also on the stem, until I have it all filled out. I also put a piece in the middle just to kind of give me something to glue it to try to take away any bowing from the top pumpkin if it might not be super flat. And now it's just a matter of attaching it all together. I'm going to use hot glue for this. You do have to kind of act quick because you kind of have to do it all at once. There's no sections. So I'm just going to go all the way around my pumpkin real quick with some hot glue. Also on the rope in the middle that we did for a little bit of structure. And get that wood pumpkin on there as soon as I can to glue that down. Sandwiching that rope in between the two pumpkin signs. Cleaning up any excess hot glue since I had to do that so quick. And this is how it looks so far, but this is the 3D element. I thought if you added that wood, this is like the flat wood oval from the Dollar Tree right here on that front pumpkin section. You're going to get that bump out part of the pumpkin. That looks so cute. And just hot glue that right on the front. It's going to make it even thicker, add more dimension to it. I love it. And you know I have to distress it, right? So I'm taking a little ivory acrylic and a chunky brush, and we're going to distress it kind of with the 3D arch of the different sections of the pumpkin. It's just kind of distress it all over. The wood was a little bit different wood between the pumpkin and that oval in the middle. So I kind of distressed the pumpkin in the middle pretty heavily. That way they'll all kind of coordinate together. And if you don't think you've added enough, you can go back and distress it some more, and it gives you kind of like a little 3D feel, right? Since we have the little metal anchor from the sign, we might as well go ahead and use it, right? I think that'd be a perfect ornament for the front of our pumpkin. So I just attached that to that wood oval there with some hot glue right in the middle. Now I need to make a pumpkin stem on here. So I'm going to use some twine. This is the twine from Walmart, but you could totally use the twine from Dollar Tree. I like this one because it's a little bit thicker. And I am just hot gluing that to the tip to kind of keep it in place, starting at the end and working my way towards the pumpkin. It's going to give that like rope feel to the pumpkin stem and make it look more finished. I cut off a longer piece because I do need to make a hanger for this, so I might as well make it now. I'm just going to loop that into a little hanger here that we can attach here to the back and just hot glue that right into place. And just burn off any of the fuzzies on that as well. I love that thick jute from from Walmart, but it is a little rugged sometimes. Now I thought it needed maybe another little coastal touch, and the area where I pulled off the anchor was bothering me, so I just added a little tiny starfish down there that I get on Amazon, and then I thought maybe some seashells on the pumpkin would be cute as well. And another one of the starfish, and I thought it needed a pumpkin tendril as well. So I used some of that wire jute from Dollar Tree, wrap it around a pen. We're going to wrap that around the pumpkin stem as well. And I actually had enough to make a couple tendrils here at the top. Just cutting off any wire that wants to poke out on me. If you guys have a good technique for using that without it falling apart like that, please tell me. I know hot glue, but it's kind of hard to hot glue like a large piece that you're using, but it definitely does fall apart, right? And I'm just going to hot glue on our little beachy decor here. The little starfish and a seashell from the Dollar Tree. And that starfish came in the same package as that little one below. They come in a variety of sizes. I get them on Amazon in the ivory and in the blue. I love them. They're so cute. They're real little tiny starfishes for crafting. And this is how it turned out. Our super chunky blue pumpkin. I love the rope sides. I love all the different dimensions on the sign. It's a nice big sign. And it works great for a welcome sign for an entryway. This would be really cute on a front door as well, because it says welcome, of course. And I like the little hanging sign below it too. I think that looks really cute. Next DIY, I'm going to take one of these little foam circles from the Dollar Tree. This is like, just kind of like a real simple styrofoam material. And I thought we could make a succulent pumpkin using the little succulents from Dollar Tree. I kind of have a collection. Some were new, some were used a million times, and I'm going to try to pair them together. Now, I wanted it to have a stem on it, but I didn't want it to have like that super long stem on it. And I ended up just taking it apart. So I just glued down my succulent, and then I had to glue mine to put it back together, because when I did that, I kind of pulled it apart, which I was trying not to do. But I love the blue succulents, and I thought if I mixed that together with a lot of like the tan color succulents from the Dollar Tree, we could make this work. This time, I was trying to get a little bit smarter on the stem, but they're still a little bit unpredictable. I wanted the wire, but not so much anything else, and I was able to get it put back together. I just put the wire straight in the side of the circle, and in the end, I'm going to want like a pumpkin shape for our little succulent pumpkin. I've never seen anybody make one of these, but I thought it sounded like a fun idea, so I'm trying like to find all different colors. I think all these colors go really well together. But again, the ones that had picks, I did want the wire, but not necessarily the plastic part. So I just pull that apart, little bit of surgery on these. And then I just can put it straight into the foam. But the ones that don't have any stem at all, I'm just attaching with hot glue. Now, styrofoam doesn't necessarily like to be hot glued, but we're going to make it work. This one kind of had a little plastic pick on it. I kind of have a collection. Some came in pots, some came in picks, some have clips. Just trying to make them all kind of work together. And if they don't have anything on there, I just use hot glue to attach it. But I kind of like the wired ones for the side because then I can put the wire down inside. So just popping that one back together and wiring that straight in. And I just want kind of a roundish shape that we can try to make look like a pumpkin. So I think that looks pretty good. Now for a display, I'm going to use one of these little wood circle frames from the Dollar Tree. These are in the crafter square, and I love these. They're great for making displays. They're super easy. It's got a great shape on there. I just pulled the picture out and the little tabs. And then I am going to paint it ivory here on the base, because you're going to be able to see that part. I just wanted something that I could display the pumpkin with it, so it wouldn't have to kind of like lay flat on its back like that before we kind of try to make this look like a pumpkin. Now to attach the succulent pumpkin to it, I'm going to have like the wood round frame be on the back. So the first step is I just hot glue that to the back of our circle. And you can see some of the wires went pretty deep in there, but not really out. I didn't really like that being all open like that. So I just grabbed like a scrap piece of burlap that I had laying around, and we can use that to cover the back to clean this up, make it look a little bit nicer. Hot gluing that on. It's also going to kind of help keep everything together, I think. So I just cut out a square, hot glued it down to the frame and to the foam. Then I'm going to go around and just cut out that circular shape so you can't see the burlap from the front. And I think that did a pretty good job of masking the back of it anyway. And then I thought between the succulents, it would be really cute if I did like a little bit of Spanish moss. And so I have some Spanish moss from the Dollar Tree, and I'm just like pulling off little pieces and kind of tucking it in between the succulents. I think this gives it like, they're faux succulents, so I think this makes them look a little bit better and like not quite right on top of each other. Now, one problem I had is it was gonna tip over. The base was just not strong enough to hold up all those succulents. I didn't really take that into account, but to fix it, I'm just using a wood block on the back. That is one of those giant Jenga blocks from Five Below that I use all the time. And that helped to weigh it down, but it could be anything. And then I don't want you to see like the foam sides of the styrofoam either. So I'm just going to hot glue on Spanish moss all the way around. It's going to give, that same Spanish moss look that we used, inside the pumpkin. So it kind of coordinates, makes it look cool. You could also cover that part with burlap too if you wanted. But I think I kind of like the moss way better. Okay, so now we have like our succulent pumpkin. It's time to work on the pumpkin stem. So we're going to use just the 8-foot natural jute rope from the Dollar Tree, and we're going to make a really simple little rope stem for our pumpkin. So I figure out about how long I want it, and I'm going to go ahead and cut down 3 pieces of that Dollar Tree rope. And then what I'm going to do is glue them all together, side by side by side. And then we are going to twist and kind of wrap the rope around each other to kind of make it look like a gnarly pumpkin stem. So I start off by putting a little hot glue on my one strand, and then I grab the other 2 strands. We're going to use those 2 strands to wrap just around the single strand. Now to get it to stay into place, I did use hot glue each time that I went around to glue the rope to the rope. And it's going to give it that like kind of windy look where we can kind of shape it into like the traditional shape of a pumpkin stem. So I cut off the single long one, and you can always add some more glue if you need to, if you find it coming apart. I kind of want it to look old and frayed, and I think that looks pretty cool for a pumpkin stem. Now it's just a matter of attaching it here to the top. I'm going to hot glue it right here to the top, the center, to the succulent and to the little foam circle below it, and kind of let it go off to the side. It was a little bit floppy, so I'm going to follow that up with a little of the wired jute from Dollar Tree here to give it a little bit more shape. It's going to blend into the rope as well, but it's going to make it where it'll stand exactly where I want it, make it a little bit more moldable. So I cut out a long piece, just wrapped it all the way around, making sure that I have extra. So then I can take something shaped like the shape of a pen, just wrap that around into a little curly tendril for our pumpkin. And so that kind of does 2 things at once. You have to be careful because that twine does want to come off of the wire, but you might want to make it a little bit longer so that if you need to trim it, but hot glue can help keep it on there as well. Now for a pumpkin leaf, I thought we could use one of these little burlap leaves from the Dollar Tree. They are a little big, so we're going to try to cut this one down a little bit to size. I did leave the wire on there though, so that I would have something to wrap around the pumpkin stem to attach it, and I like the coastal feel of the burlap for sure. I decided that the best way would be just to put the wire straight into the styrofoam, and that worked out great. So this is it, our little succulent pumpkin. Very creative, very colorful. What do you guys think about this fun little creation?
I love those Dollar Tree succulents, and whenever I get a chance to craft with them, I do it. And I kind of save them too from project to project if they are reusable. This one I love so much, I am going to leave them all together. I just think it is a very whimsical pumpkin DIY.
Okay, I picked up one of these little pumpkin boxes, wood boxes from the Dollar Tree, and I thought we could have some fun with this. Sometimes these are really hard to decorate with because they're a little small for a vase. They're a little too small to hold anything, but I'm going to show you a fun idea. Now, I kind of want that light turquoise look on this one as well. So I'm mixing some turquoise acrylic and ivory paint together to give me a really soft blue. And we are going to go all over this little pumpkin box and painted that nice beachy blue color. They can be a little challenging to paint because you have like the inside, the outside, it's all connected. But if you use a small enough brush, you can pretty much get all of it. I don't really have to do the bottom because I am going to put some stuff in there. Make sure I don't have any like paint really blocking the cutouts on the front of that. And then of course I'm going to distress it with a little bit of ivory. Give it that coastal farmhouse vibe. And we are going to build this into a little coastal pumpkin carriage. I thought it would be perfect because it's 3D shape. We can just add to it and make it look like a little pumpkin carriage. And we can also fill it with some fall stuff as well. Now, a carriage needs wheels, and I like to use these little wood puzzle pieces from the kids aisle at the Dollar Tree. They have different shapes like squares, circles, and stars you can see there. And it's a perfect size for little wheels, I think. So I picked out 4 of them. Doesn't really matter what color they are because I can always paint them, right? So I go ahead and do a coat of ivory on all of them. Both sides, because they are going to be little wheels, so I don't want to see any of those crazy colors coming through my final project. And these are just about the right size, I think, for little tires for our little carriage. I also paint all the sides on these, that ivory color as well. And a couple coats, so it kind of disguises the color. Then we're just going to distress them all with some Antique Wax by Waverly, kind of giving them that distressed wood look, wiping off any of the excess paint with a baby wipe, and kind of looks like driftwood, right? If you wanted like a more traditional wheel, you could always do them like in black or gray as well, but we're going coastal with these, so I kind of wanted coastal colors. Now on top of that, I'm going to use a white Sharpie paint pen and just draw little wagon wheels like right on them. Super easy, just by drawing a circle, crisscross, and then crisscross again, and you have little wheels. And then you can just attach them to your little pumpkin box like that. Has this perfect little ledge here to hot glue your little wheel in place. And these are going to be like the stand for the pumpkin. They're going to stand on the wheel. So when you glue them on there, try to glue them on there as level as you can, because that's going to kind of affect how it stands up. And then we're going to turn it around and do the same thing here for the other side. And you can reinforce it like I did on the inside too if you wanted to make it a little bit stronger, but it's not a very heavy piece, so I think that those little wheels will do a great job of holding it up. But I reinforced mine just for a little added strength. Now I need to build the carriage out a little bit. I had some of this craft wood from the Dollar Tree, and it kind of fits in there just perfectly. I just need to cut a little piece down. So I kind of measured how big I wanted that, cut down this little tiny wood block here for like a little seat for my carriage. I'm going to go ahead and paint that same color so it will match the rest of our little beachy carriage. And then just attach that with some hot glue right there on that little shelf. It's a perfect place for the little seat. I thought you might be able to see underneath of it too, so I'm just going to paint the bottom of it as well. And then I thought it needed a little coastal decoration on our carriage, right? So I'm going to use some of those little starfish that I get on Amazon, trying to find a nice flat one here for the center of our pumpkin. It's going to give a fun little coastal touch to our carriage. And I think a star would be perfect here. And then I don't have anything to like pull my carriage, but I'm going to kind of make it look like a carriage that's just kind of like not hooked up to anything. And so to do that, I'm actually going to use some wood chopsticks that I got on sale at Target, but you could also use wood dowels as well. But I had these, so I thought I might as well use them. I just took it to the saw, cut it down a little bit, but you could also always glue 2 dowels together. You're pretty much going to get about the same shape. And it's just going to be like the part that can like pull the carriage that you would like hook up to your horses or whatever. And so I just kind of need to find a way to attach it. I'm going to put some hot glue on the end of my chopsticks and just kind of glue them up underneath the seat. But where it's resting on the ground, like it's not hooked up to anything right now. Now it's time to fill it up with some stuff because we do have that little box shape inside, right? So I'm going to take some Dollar Tree foam and just trim it down to size to fill up our little box so we can decorate this with some stuff. I think that's going to be plenty. And then I thought those fall leaves from the Dollar Tree would be cute. And since we've already got the blue going on with the pumpkin, I thought ivory would be perfect. So we're just going to fill the little box in with some of these ivory leaves from the Dollar Tree. I like how they're a little bit different colors. I just cut off a branch at a time, pushing it down in the foam, kind of shaping it if I need to. I can always just add one more if I need to, until our little box is full. I thought that would be fun for fall, full of leaves. And how cute is this little pumpkin carriage? So if you see one of these little wood box pumpkins from the Dollar Tree, or you have one and you have no idea how to decorate it, I think this is a really fun idea. And I love the coastal vibe of mine as well. How pretty is that little starfish right there on the front of the carriage? And the wheels worked out really well as well. I think they look really nice and coastal with the wood and the white.
And it was so much fun. Hey guys, if you're enjoying today's video so far, be sure to hit that like button. And if you haven't subscribed, I'd really appreciate it.
Okay, the next DIY, I wanted to DIY some fall coasters. So I picked up 2 coasters from the Dollar Tree. Doesn't matter what's on them because we're going to DIY our own. But I did think the white would probably be helpful. And then I designed this great image with AI. It is like blue and orange pumpkins and blue and orange corn on the beach with a little lighthouse in the background, a little fall scene. And I think it's perfect for these. So I designed it at 3.75 inches, which is slightly larger than the coaster, but just a tiny bit. And I printed both of them out on cardstock, and I will share this free printable with you in the description below the video if you want to recreate. Now the square is the easiest one to do because it's kind of the easiest one to cut and line up, and all I'm going to do is cover it. Now, since I used cardstock, I don't really have to worry. I don't think about the slap often showing through. If you use thinner paper, you might need to paint yours white first, but I just coat them with a nice coat of Mod Podge and then layer my little square right on the front. And I absolutely love this image. I might do something else with this larger, but I love how it turned out. It's so beachy and so fall. It is exactly what I was wanting. And so I just went ahead and glued the cardstock on both of those and gave them a dry. Now I told you that I made them slightly larger, and that was so that I could sand them down to a perfect fit. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm just using a sanding block from Dollar Tree and sanding off the excess cardstock. I think my sanding block was a little wore out here, so it was a little harder than it needed to be. But basically, I wanted them to be the perfect size, and I wanted to have like a little kind of distressed white border around the outside to kind of go with the shape of the stone itself. And I flipped that over, and that made it way easier. Totally was needing to be replaced. And I love these little sanding blocks from the Dollar Tree with the little plastic handles. They're so nice. So I went ahead and sanded both pieces down, cleaning off any excess dust here on our coasters. And then we are going to seal these to make these durable and able to hold cold or wet drinks. So to do that, I'm going to use Mod Podge first to seal the image down. I do a thin coat all over the coaster. Go in, give that a quick dry, make sure all of my corners are good and secure. Going to repeat the process. And I give it another dry, and then I actually go in there with a third layer of Mod Podge. Now at this point, they're pretty good and sealed, and you could probably leave it like that, but I really wanted mine waterproof. So I'm going to go in with some matte clear sealer and just completely make them waterproof, but this step is optional. And if you had like a dishwasher proof Mod Podge or a stronger Mod Podge, you might not even have to do this, but I do want the matte finish because I think it looks beachy, and that's what this is. So this is how they turned out when they were dried, and I think they're absolutely beautiful. I only needed 2 of them. for my coffee table. So that is all that I made. But look how beautiful they turned out. And they were so easy to make with just a printer and 2 Dollar Tree coasters. How fun is that scene? I love it.
And I really love designing scenes like this with AI. It's really fun. The sky is the limit with them. Okay, for the next DIY, I wanted to make like a chunky truck stand display with some of these Dollar Tree trucks.
And so I'm going to use 2 of the signs put together to make it chunkier. Now, they do kind of have the bumpers and this part of the truck here and like the little hubcaps that bump out. And instead of trying to remove them, I'm going to kind of use those just to attach the hot glue to put the 2 together. Made it nice and chunky. The only issue with that, without taking those parts off first, is that you kind of have that void in between the 2 signs. But I'll show you what I do to go in and fill it. Now, this was a hanging sign before, so I'm going to use a little spackle just to kind of fill up the holes in it from the hanger, because we're going to have this be on that craft wood that you see there as a kind of like display piece. And I'm going to give my own little crafty beach spin on this as well. Now, as you can see, I try to use the spackle to fill in the gap in between. And I've had luck with that before, but I found that the gap was a little too large. It was really going to take a lot of time and a lot of spackle. So I decided to try the masking tape technique. And my only advice on this is cut down like thinner pieces of masking tape before you get started, because I do switch over to that while I'm going all the way around the truck. And it was way easier when it was already a little bit skinnier. What I'm doing is just kind of lining it up, filling that void, and then cutting off the excess tape. Now, cutting off the excess tape was kind of the hard part there, but it does fill in the void. I wanted to make sure went flush with the front, so it didn't really overlap at all in the front. So that's where I'm kind of lining it up and then going back and removing the excess tape on the back. Now, it's going to be like a display standing sign, so I don't really want tape on the back either. So I did have to kind of clean it up the best that I could, but that's one reason why. If you cut your strips of masking tape skinnier, it's going to be in your advantage. But I didn't figure that out until I was almost all the way done here. I was trying to make it work. Going around the pumpkins and stuff, a little bit tricky. And they have kind of a little bit chunkier truck sign from Dollar Tree Crafter Square, but I couldn't find any pumpkins from the Dollar Tree that were wooden that were small enough to fit in the back. So that's why I decided to use this one. It's not that much chunkier though. It's a little bit. This is after I got smart and started cutting down strips of the masking tape that were skinnier. And they would fit way nicer, and see how much easier that is. And I'm just going all the way around to the bottom of the truck because I really want all of the gaps cleaned up. Now, there are still kind of gaps in between like the car windows or the truck windows, but I don't think it's that big of a deal. I did use my sanding block to try to remove any of the excess tape on the back that I didn't really get cleaned up, just to give it a cleaner appearance. And I do plan to paint the back of it as well. Since it's going to be on display, I really kind of want it to look like a finished piece. I thought this DIY was going to be super easy to do, but it ended up being a little bit time consuming. Lots of steps, like painting. So we're going to start with blue. I want my truck to be blue, mainly because all of my cabinets in my house are kind of like ivory. But you guys know this is my signature color, Cloudless by Apple Barrel from Walmart. So I'm just painting everything. So I painted the back, I'm painting the front. I'm even going to paint the pumpkins. I'm just going to go over everything with the Cloudless color first. And then I can go back and paint the sections as needed. I love a little blue truck. I've done lots of DIYs with little blue trucks. So this one is another cute one. Now for the little wooden rack here on the bed of the truck, I am staining that with Antique Wax by Waverly, just using a tiny brush. I get those little brushes from the Dollar Tree as well. And so I don't get too much off the beaten path. It was kind of hard not to get it like on that little section right here, but no big deal. I can kind of go back and paint that with my favorite color of blue. I'm glad you noticed. And touch that up a little bit. And then I'm going to use the Antique Wax by Waverly to also do my tires. I kind of went back and forth on that one, but I didn't really want black. And then there's also a little section here that kind of needs to be stained too underneath the pumpkins because it's kind of a straight line. It's not quite put together like perfectly. Like these tires here don't go all the way up because they would only go to about here. So I'm just going to sketch that out first with my white paint pen. And I want to do kind of like a ivory hubcap with like a Antique Wax by Waverly like stained tire. So, and I already have like the stained wood on there. So what I'm doing is just painting the tire and the hubcap ivory. And then I can go back and use the Antique Wax by Waverly on the ivory tires. But I just kind of wanted to kind of block out there where exactly I thought they would be. And then I'm also going to want to paint like the bottom too, because it's kind of, you know, a big chunky truck now. And that's when I go back in with my tiny brush, Antique Wax by Waverly, and just go around my little hubcaps, trying not to get any on there. And it does give you the darker color like a tire would be, but I don't think it takes away too much by adding like that black that I really didn't want. So that looks pretty good. Now we can move on to the pumpkins. We're just going to paint our pumpkins this orange color. I did notice my spackle was not holding too well on that pumpkin, so I'm just going to touch that one up as well. And then I just went over the other pumpkin too. And you know what? I'm going to do the edges of it as well, kind of like we did with the tires. I think that makes it look pretty good, but again, I'm trying to avoid the back. I'm just going to leave the back all one solid color of blue. But I did get a little bit on there with my orange paint, so I'm just going to touch that up a little bit. And now it's time to decorate our little truck door. Originally, I was going to use a sticker on this, and I ended up actually not using that, but I went ahead and put it there anyway. And I am using my white paint pen to sketch out pumpkin. It said pumpkin patch just like this with like a pumpkin in between. I thought about cutting it out with my Cricut vinyl, but you know what? I thought it might be easier to actually use a paint pen and marker on this than to do the weeding and stuff on a small project like that. And I decided that pumpkin really wasn't going to stay on there too well. And a pumpkin is super easy to draw. So I just drew one on with that same white paint pen. And I noticed you really couldn't read it. It really faded in with the truck. So I'm going back over it with an orange Sharpie just to give it way more color and make you be able to read it on the side of our little truck door. And I like using Sharpies for small lettering like this because you don't really get the bleeding and stuff like that. And then I kind of sand it to make it look a little bit more weathered because it was kind of bright. And then you're going to be shocked by this, but I'm going to go in and distress everything with that ivory paint just to make it look coastal farmhouse. I love that vibe. I'll probably have somebody in the comments yelling at me for distressing too much. I don't really care. And I think that gives it a nice softer vibe. Just try to get like an even level of distress all over. And then we can start working on the base for our little pumpkin patch truck. This is just some scrap wood that I had. It's kind of banged up. There's like even actually like holes and stuff in it. But you know what? It's going to add character to it, right? It's pretty equivalent to the craft wood from the Dollar Tree. And so I'm going to just paint it that same cashew, distressing with Antique Wax by Waverly, like we did with a lot of the DIYs today, to give me that fun like driftwood appearance for my Crafty Beach version of this little pumpkin truck. And now these signs are pretty lightweight, so I think this is going to work a lot better. Using this as a display, I can glue the tire straight down. So I do a little puddle of hot glue underneath each tire. And you really do have to hold the hot glue for a while when you're going to count on this to hold it up. I'm going to flip it around, do a little extra hot glue on the back until it is strong enough to stand up on its own. And here it is, our little pumpkin patch truck. I think it's super cute. I was trying to make sure this is not going to be one of those signs that wants to tip over on me, is it? And then just to reinforce it a little bit more, I did add a little bit more hot glue. But it seems to be pretty strong. And I really like the chunkiness of the truck. It makes it look way more high end. And it was just a couple of items from the Dollar Tree put together to create that. And this is it, our little pumpkin patch truck. I think it's really pretty. And I really like the fact that I chose blue for the truck. It's really going to pop against my furniture for fall a little bit better.
But feel free to make any of today's DIY in whichever color you choose.
Okay, the next DIY, I actually picked this up at Goodwill. It was half price, so it was only $1.50. And it is just a really nice metal pumpkin. It's galvanized metal, which doesn't really match my decor too much, but I thought we could give it a little coastal beachy makeover. So the first thing I'm going to do, I kind of cleaned it up. It was a little dusty. I am going to go over the metal with Mod Podge. That way it's going to make it easier to paint. I kind of wanted paint in distress all over, but I want the paint to stick to it. So I'm going to try the Mod Podge trick that you use on the galvanized metal from the Dollar Tree. And as you can see, it's even like got a little candle holder right inside. So the first step of our beachy makeover is some blue. I'm going to mix Caribbean blue together with some ivory to give me that soft blue color. And I'm using a brush. I kind of want to do like a distress, like with the galvanized metal kind of shining through. So I don't want to cover the whole thing blue. I want some of the metal showing through for sure. So I'm just going to sloppily paint it, trying to leave a little bit of that metal. That way it looks like it was painted blue and like the paint has kind of wore off of it. It was kind of the look I was going for on this. And it's got like the great tendrils and the leaf and everything attached to the top. All of it is metal as well. And the pumpkin stem too. And I want to give them a little bit of coastal makeover too. So I distress my leaf all over just with some ivory. And then I'm going to go back and follow that up with a little Antique Wax by Waverly. Kind of give that Driftwood vibe, a little bit distressed. It brought out that great texture in the leaf as well. And I always like to do a little thrift flip whenever I can. Sometimes you can get stuff at the dollar or at the Goodwill for just as cheap if you can get it on sale. I decided I kind of wanted the pumpkin stem to be brown as well. So I distressed the galvanized metal with its just straight Antique Wax by Waverly to kind of make it look brown. And then I'm just going to glue a little Dollar Tree votive right inside the candle holder so it doesn't like slip around too much when I have it lit, because it is a real candle. And I think that shouldn't be a problem. Nothing really flammable on here, but just a quick, easy little coastal pumpkin thrift flip using this metal pumpkin that I found at Goodwill. I got such a great deal on it. I think it turned out really cute. I really like that paint job that I did. Very easy to do, but I think it looks nice and distressed. Okay, next DIY, I thought we would do something with acorns. And so we're going to use a wood round from the Dollar Tree, also a wood acorn sign from the Dollar Tree, and we're going to make a really fun fall sign. So let's get started with the wood round first. I am going over all of it with just a coat of ivory acrylic paint. This raw wood from the Dollar Tree is so easy to paint. The only thing is, it's a little bit warped, as you can see. Those Dollar Tree signs are thin. And they like to do that. That's one reason why I like to layer Dollar Tree signs, because it tends to take that warp shape out of them, makes them thicker. And so I'm not too worried about it at this point. I do go over it with a second coat of ivory to give a good base coat to this. And I want to give kind of a wood look to this one. So once we get that painted all ivory, We're going to go in with some Antique Wax by Waverly, and we're going to distress, working like horizontally one direction, kind of have it turned at an angle there, and then wiping off any excess with a baby wipe to give that like distressed ivory board look. I'm going to use the existing hanger that came with it. I'm just going to go ahead and pop that back on. And now we can start working on the main piece of this DIY, which is the acorn. This is just a fall sign from the Dollar Tree. It's also kind of got a cool wood grain on that, right? And I'm going to do one of my favorite beachy techniques, which is to cover it with those little light blue pebbles from Dollar Tree. I found that the tacky glue from the Dollar Tree works great for this. It's super strong, it dries clear, and it has no problem keeping those pebbles on like a sign that's going to hang up vertically. So I just put a coat all over the like acorn part, not the cap part. We're going to make this part beachy blue. And I've used this for so many DIYs, for like Easter chicks, so many fun things. I think I've even made a turkey. I love crafting with this. It's such a beautiful shade of blue, and it gives you this great texture. So I just do a coat all over on top of the tacky glue, just kind of pushing it flat, making sure it is all flattened out. Then to help it stick together, I like to use the spray adhesive from Dollar Tree. This is the aerosol one. Sometimes it can be a little tricky to find. I always try to stock up when I find it because it works great for projects like this. It works great for sand too. So I did a second coat to make sure that stays, and then we're going to start working on the cap. Now, whenever you work with this, you're going to have to let it sit probably overnight for all those pebbles to get glued down, but I think we can go ahead and work on the cap. This is the driftwood we're using for the cap. It is the driftwood vase filler from Target. It works great because it's nice and flat. You kind of have to put it together like a puzzle though, just kind of finding the right piece, gluing it to the sign, but also overlapping and gluing it to the self. We're just going to fill in the cap of this acorn, give it that coastal driftwood feel. Some of y'all have used like the barbecue chips for this too, if you can't find this, but this does go on sale at Target a lot. It is a vase filler that they carry year round back in their like home decor section. And whenever it goes on sale, I always try to grab a box or two because it's great to craft with for driftwood projects. See how flat they are? That makes that easy to build with. And I just kind of keep overlapping all those pieces, gluing it all down with hot glue until the entire cap is covered and has lots of dimension. So I think that looks pretty good. I think the driftwood is a little darker than I would, or lighter than I would like. So I'm going to darken it up a little bit with a little stain by using some Antique Wax by Waverly and a chunky brush and just distressing all over. It's going to make it a darker, more colorful driftwood, which sometimes I like for DIYs and especially for fall. And I just kind of distress all over all the pieces and then wipe off any excess with a baby wipe, kind of blend that all in, and you get like more of a multi-shade driftwood. And it definitely made it look a lot warmer than I think it did with that original color. So trying to make sure this is super dry, and we can attach that to our wood round from the Dollar Tree. But I'm being very careful. I am going to let this sit all night, but I wanted to go ahead and attach it now to get started. And I'm going to do that by putting hot glue underneath where the acorn will be, gluing that straight down. Now it's kind of heavy when you cover it with all the pebbles and the wood. And so I made sure I used plenty of hot glue to make sure this stays stuck. But I'm trying not to damage any of my pebbles that are still drying by attaching it, but I think we can make it stay down there for now. Now, I always like to frame my Dollar Tree signs. I think it makes them look a little bit thicker, and if they're warped a little bit like this sign is, it kind of hides that a little bit too. So I'm going to use some of the thinner brown rope from the Dollar Tree, and we're just going to do a simple rope frame for this, just attaching it to the sides of the wood round with hot glue. Just doing a section at a time. I think it's going to finish this project up. Kind of matches some of the colors there in the acorn cap, the driftwood there. And it just makes it look more finished. It kind of makes it look a little bit chunkier too. And again, it hides any of that bowing because I was still having a little bit of bowing. I bought a whole case of these wood rounds and I store them inside my house, but they really have bowed. And it's probably just from the humidity being in Florida, I assume. But, you know, these things bow in the store too, so it is what it is. If you want to use a thicker one from another store that costs a little bit more, that would be really cute as well. I got that all glued around all the edges whenever I use rope. I always like to follow that up with a lighter. It just burns off all the little fuzzy fibers that might be sticking out and just gives it a little bit of a cleaner appearance. But isn't that cute? This is our little driftwood and blue pebble acorn sign. Perfect for fall. I love the splash of blue. I think it's going to go great with my coastal decor for fall. And this is how it looks hanging in my entryway. I love it. I let it sit all night so all the pebbles stay on there. It's amazing how well the two different kinds of glue work together. Like maybe one or two pieces of pebbles will fall off, but otherwise it stays intact. I love it. I think it's super cute. Okay, this is going to be another kind of like fall Halloween sign. I'm going to do it like kind of like fall colors. But it's also going to have a jack-o'-lantern on there. So it's going to have a little touch of Halloween if you want a little bit of cute Halloween decoration. I'm going to put 2 of these wood shelves together. These are from Dollar Tree. I love crafting with these. If you put 2 or 3 of these together, you can kind of make whatever size sign that you need. And I wanted to kind of combine those with the little wood jack-o'-lantern sign from the Halloween aisle at Dollar Tree. So to get started, I wanted to do a little blue. So I'm going to use my favorite color of blue. This is Cloudless acrylic paint from Walmart, the apple barrel paint. And even though it's not quite a neutral color, it's going to go great with my fall decor. I have a little touches of blue here and there, but we're actually going to decorate the little jack-o'-lantern with some neutral colors. So if you don't like the blue, you could always stain your wood or just painted ivory would look really cute too. Just going to do a bead of hot glue along one side of the shelf, and we can put the 2 together to make a nice large sign. And this typically turns out pretty sturdy, but if you want, you can always reinforce it. I decided to reinforce this one a little bit because it's going to be a wall hanging. And so I'm just going to do that with a Dollar Tree ruler. I love these wood ones because you can just pop off the stickers. And I'm just going to glue that on the seam on the back. It's going to make it nice and sturdy back here. Now, this already has like the holes on it for the hanging shelf. So I'm just going to use those to make a hanger using the existing like white twine that came with it. And it typically works a little better to add a little hot glue to the tips to be able to string that kind of through. I like to tie my hangers just straight on the front like that with little knots. Now it's time to decorate the jack-o'-lantern. So I want to cover it in burlap. I'm going to use this rolled burlap that I had, but you know what? Dollar Tree also has burlap now, so you could totally use that as well. I just want a piece that's going to cover the entire piece. And I decided to just use that as reference, use a Sharpie, try to trace it out. That way I can cut the burlap before I attach it because I don't want it to be like really frayed. And you know, burlap definitely likes to fray around the edges. So now that I have a template, I can just use my scissors to go around and trim that down. And we're actually going to be DIYing the back of the jack-o'-lantern, but we'll be using that jack-o'-lantern face for reference. So if you don't have this exact one, you could do this same thing with just a plain pumpkin from the Dollar Tree. I think that's going to work. Now, what I did was I'm just going to go over the entire surface of the back of the pumpkin with some ivory acrylic because, you know, the burlap, you can kind of see it through. And I kind of wanted a little bit of a contrast between like the ivory background and the brown burlap. So just a quick coat of paint on the back of that. Then I'm also going to fill in the little hanging holes here with a little bit of spackle just to clean that up so you won't be able to see that through the burlap as well. Now for the jack-o'-lantern face, I'm just going to use a black paint pen, and we're just going to draw on the little jack-o'-lantern face. It's so easy. It's just a triangle for the eyes and the nose. And I'm using the actual sign as reference to kind of sketch this out, do a little toothy grin for our jack-o'-lantern, and then just color that in with my black paint pen. You could always use a Sharpie for this as well. It's going to give you that great, like, subtle, like, little jack-o'-lantern face on there. Just a fun contrast. And then we are going to attach this to the back. I'm just going to do that with a pretty thick layer of Mod Podge to secure that down. Just kind of spreading that all over and then laying the burlap right on top. Trying to make sure my edges don't fray too much. I want to try to keep it as clean as I can get it. Kind of pushing that down with a paper towel and then trimming up any little frays here along the edges that might be sticking out. And now it's time to attach that to our little sign. I love the burlap and the blue together. It totally goes with my color scheme here in my house. And I think it's just a really, beautiful Halloween decoration. Not something that you would typically see. Now, the little holes in the sign were kind of bothering me, so I decided to kind of just use them as an element. So I'm just going to go ahead and use that twine that came with the shelves, stringing it through the back, knotting it on the front, and kind of just filling those in, just so it's just not distracting. You could also use spackle to fill those in if they were bothering you as well. Then I'm actually just going to add hot glue to the jack-o'-lantern face. It's going to be a perfect spacer to glue this right onto our little blue shelf sign. Now it's time to give it a little bit more decor. I'm going to use some of this raffia from Dollar Tree, but I actually got it at Goodwill. And make a cute little raffia bow for the top of this. And then I also want to give it a little bit of fall decor as well. So I just tie a simple little bow with that. I'm just going to attach it right over here to the side, something super sweet. And then I want to use fall leaves. I chose like the brown and or the tan and like ivory ones again. And I thought it'd be really cute to kind of have like little falling leaves like cascading in the blue sky around our little jack-o'-lantern. But the first one that I use, I just kind of use it as a pumpkin leaf, like gluing it right behind our little jack-o'-lantern. I'm also going to use some of the little fall colored berries up here just for a little bit added decor. Now I covered the pumpkin stem also with burlap, but I thought we could do something to that to add another little element to it to kind of go with the color scheme. And I decided to just use some Dollar Tree brown rope, just simply unwinding it. It's going to give me all these great like brown strings. Keeping that all together, I just hot glue that on, and it gives me a really cute little interesting texture there for the little jack-o'-lantern pumpkin stem. And then I thought more leaves, so I'm just going to cut some of these out. I kind of want to stick with like the ivory ones, kind of have them floating through the air next to the pumpkin, like that. And I just go around and attach those all with hot glue. Really beautiful little Halloween decoration that definitely works for fall and for Halloween. And it was really fun to put together. Here he is. I think he's super cute. And yes, that is my favorite color of blue. I love it. And this is how it looks hanging in my home. I think he's so sweet.
And if you just wanted to do yours a pumpkin, you could simply do some pumpkin lines on it instead of a cute little jack-o'-lantern face like this one. Hey guys, have you visited my new website yet? It's craftybeach.net. It's going to be an archive of all my YouTube videos, and you can pin my DIYs on Pinterest.
Okay, my next coastal fall sign is one of these little pumpkin cutout long signs from the Dollar Tree. And we're going to make ours look nice and beachy and fun for fall. So I go over it with agave chalk paint. And you can use whatever blue you want. And it does not have to be chalk paint. I actually tend to go more the acrylic route because I find that it's so much cheaper to paint with that But since I was covering up the black pumpkin sign, I thought chalk paint would give me a little bit easier coverage, and it did. Then I distress it, working vertically with some ivory chalk paint, a chunky brush from Dollar Tree, and a baby wipe to kind of give me a coastal vibe. And I thought we could make a nice long pumpkin sign. I thought this would be a perfect sign for like farm fresh pumpkins. And so I used my Cricut, my extra long mat, and some of this Dollar Tree white vinyl, which I used, but I can't say I recommend it. I really like the kind I get on Amazon way better. But I have farm fresh, and then I cut out the word pumpkins vertically for this sign to fill it up. And I think that's going to be a fun way to decorate this long sign. I used a combination of 3 different fonts for this, and they are kind of wordy. So I'll put that in the description below, what fonts I used to make this. I used to not be able to figure out how to share my Cricut files, but I've gotten much better at it. They are a little picky with what they let you share and what they don't. So I did write down the fonts I used for these because I think they turned out really cute. And pumpkins is kind of a long word. I wanted it to be vertical like that, so I just used my extra long mat. But you could always do it in pieces to put it together. But I just attached that Dollar Tree white vinyl to the top of it and then seal it down with some matte Mod Podge right on top. Now, this does already have a little pumpkin cutout, but you know what? If you were using one from another holiday or the plain ones from the Dollar Tree without a cutout, you could totally make it look that way with just a Dollar Tree pumpkin there at the top. I decided to go ahead and use one anyway to make a little like orange pumpkin to be peeking out from behind the cutout window. So just using one of those little Dollar Tree wood ornament pumpkins, I painted orange, distress it with some ivory to make it look coastal, and then we can just attach that to the back of the sign for a fun little surprise. But again, if you just had a plain sign, you could just put that on the front. You're going to get a very similar effect. And then one more distress with ivory all over. And this was such a fun little Dollar Tree DIY. And it looks so coastal for fall. Sometimes I like to use my original color, like that agave, to distress my vinyl. That way it kind of makes it look more hand painted and less like plastic vinyl on the front of it. Super cute. I hate the way the Dollar Tree hangers hang against the wall though. So I flipped mine over and just tied the knots in the front. And I find that that thin sign hangs way closer to my wall, which again is going to make it look straighter. And this is how it looks hanging in my home. I have this little skinny wall here. It is the perfect fit for that. But you could fit this in lots of areas.
I always love the long skinny signs from Dollar Tree. They seem to have them for every season. And I have lots of places in my house where I just need something small like this. But I think it looks great in blue.
Okay, this next DIY is probably my favorite. I picked up 2 of these little frames from the Dollar Tree that are kind of like a shadow box feel, right? They're like a white frame with like the plastic on the front with words on them. And I wanted to make a little acorn shaker with these. So I just pulled the back off of this one. Now I've noticed that sometimes you can get like the paint off with the fingernail polish remover, and that is exactly what I'm going to do. It did take a little bit of elbow grease to get that off, but fingernail polish remover and a paper towel, because I want to put my own word on the front of this little acorn shaker. And this is going to be a decor piece, but it's also super fun because you can kind of play with it. So I got the glass all cleaned up. I got 2 of these to put together back to back. That way they'll be kind of wide enough that I can fit the little Dollar Tree wood acorns in between. Now, I don't have to worry about the words on the back one because I'm going to cover that up with something anyway, but they fit in there perfectly. And these are just the little plain wood acorns, and I wanted to make like a little squirrel acorn shaker. Something really cute for fall, but also with some coastal touches. So to cover up that back glass, I'm going to use some of the removable wallpaper from the Dollar Tree in like this white board. That's a nice coastal print. And just cut it down to size to fit on the black glass. Creasing it kind of helps get it cut down to size, but trimming it never hurts. And it's just a sticker. I'm just going to peel and stick that on the glass, covering up those words. Like that. So it's going to be back to back. There's going to be glass on the back, glass on the front. I thought if I take a little Dollar Tree rope, I could kind of fill in that groove on the inside of the frame, and it's going to provide a little bit of coastal decor as well. So that's what I'm going to do. I did kind of test it out to make sure that it was going to fit, not too thick, and I am just going to hot glue that. It's going to be inside my shaker, but you might be able to see it around the edges. I thought that might be a fun way to fill up that little void right there, and I just wrap it around all four sides, just attaching it to that back frame with some hot glue. Burning off the fuzzies there of my rope with a lighter just to clean it up a little bit. And I think that looks really cool. So I have 2 packages of the little wood acorns, fit in there really nicely. But of course I want them to look beachy blue, so I'm going to paint them blue. But for the caps of each one of my acorns, I'm going to make them brown just by staining them with some Antique Wax by Waverly. You could paint too, but I find that the distressing with the Antique Wax by Waverly is even simpler because you can just wipe off the excess. You don't have to be perfect. Now to paint it, I thought I would do like different colors of beachy blue. So I'm going to do some in this like agave chalk paint color to go with some of my other coastal decor, some like in a lighter shade of blue as well, and like 4 of each. And then I thought maybe mix it up with even a lighter shade of blue. I was just trying to find like any shade of blue that I could find, because I thought if they were different colors of blue, they would look even prettier. So I did 4 in that color and then 4 in turquoise, which has a little bit more green, but I think it's going to look nice together. So a total of 16 little acorns, and I'm just going to fill up our little acorn shaker with these. Kind of lining them up like that. I thought they'd be cute over on one side, but again, you can shake this. You can kind of move them around however you want. They move in there pretty freely. And I'm going to hot glue my 2 frames together right around the edges of the rope that we use there to fill the gap. And now we have the glass on the front, so I did want to make like a custom image to go on there. So I'm going to measure that, go to my Cricut. I'm pretty sure I still have this Cricut file. I just cut out white vinyl, and I had it say nuts for fall, and with a little flying squirrel, like he's leaping into the pile of acorns. I thought that would be really cute. Had to include a little squirrel on there. I just cut that out of white vinyl, and I'm using my paper transfer paper, and we're going to add that vinyl directly to the glass. And I did the white on that. I am going to add a little color to the frame because at this point I thought it might be a little too white. I do have all the color inside, but I thought we could decorate the frame of this, but it's already looking super cute. I thought burlap around the edges of the frame would be a nice coastal touch. So I am cutting that down. It's too thick, so I'm just going to, I cut enough for like half the frame, then I cut it in half, making little burlap strips. That way I can go all the way around the whole frame. So just attaching that with hot glue. It's also going to cover the seam in between the 2 signs to help it make it look more finished. And then we're going to do the same thing here on the other side. And originally I thought I was just going to leave it white like that, but I do end up adding a little color at the end, and I'm glad that I did because I think it coordinates well with the little blue nuts inside. And then just to make it look more finished, I'm going to use some more of that removable wallpaper that we had from the Dollar Tree in that same wood pattern, and just patch up the back just to cover up the writing that was back there. just to make it look more like a finished project. And this is me adding color. I wanted like a beachy blue. And so I mixed like some colors together, turquoise, green, kind of giving that mint green. I kind of wanted a little bit different color than we used before. And I just kept mixing colors together until I got exactly what I wanted. And then just using a tiny brush, I'm just going to paint the top of the frame, that beachy blue color. And I think that was the perfect final touch for our little acorn shaker. What's really fun about this is that you can play with it too. So kids are going to enjoy this as long as they're not too little or too rough with it, I guess, because the glass will break. And I love this DIY. I think it's one of my favorite ones from today. If you're enjoying this video, be sure to hit that like button. If you don't have time to watch the whole video today, if you could come back and watch it again later, that really helps the algorithm. And it helps more people see my videos. Summer on YouTube is very slow for crafting.
But here it is, our nuts for fall with the acorns inside. I guess you could use the acorns that are already look like real acorns as well, but I love the blues in there. I think that really adds some fun.
Okay, next fall DIY, I'm going to use some fabric from the Dollar Tree, a Dollar Tree chalkboard, and a Dollar Tree wood leaf sign. Now, I love like finding new ways to do things, and I heard that you could iron fabric on to Dollar Tree wood by using like a Ziploc bag or plastic wrap instead of Mod Podge. You know I had to try it, so I'm just going to use some cheap plastic wrap, cut off a piece larger than my leaf. I have that down on my little Cricut Easy Press pad, and I also have some parchment paper down to protect that. And I thought I could try to iron on this Dollar Tree fabric. It is like a blue gingham print, and I thought it would be really pretty. The blue color would go great with coastal, the leaf, of course, with fall. Now, I'm going to cover it with some parchment paper on top to protect my Easy Press, and then I'm going to go in with my Cricut Easy Press. You could totally do the same thing with an iron. I'm just doing 400 degrees. I have no idea how long to do it, but it was an experiment. I gotta say, it worked. It was kind of fun, but was it faster than Mod Podging it on? Probably not. The great thing about it is that you're not going to get any Mod Podge, on the front or interfering with anything that might dry funky. So it's something to try. I think you can do this with paper as well, but I saw this done and I had to give it a try. So I'm just ironing that fabric down, hoping that it stuck, and peeling off the parchment paper there on the back, and any of the excess plastic wrap just came right off. Now, this was the tricky part. I think that if I were to do this project again, I would lay the leaf on the fabric like that, draw on the back with like a pen or a Sharpie, and cut this down to size first, because that leaf has so many like little areas to cut, right? So even though the plastic wrap worked, I did have to go in with some sharp scissors and cut it all out, which I have to admit was a little time consuming. And I was trying to keep like my fabric from fraying too much too. But we're going to get there eventually, but it took me a while, so I'm going to speed this way up for you. So plastic wrap did work. My process maybe wasn't the best one. If I were to do it again, would I use plastic wrap? Probably not, but it was a fun concept of just kind of melting. It kind of uses the plastic wrap as glue for the fabric against the wood. Now, as you can see, my leaf, like the fabric did fray, and I want a little bit of fraying, so I just cleaned it up a little bit. Now, this is the Dollar Tree chalkboards. I love crafting with these. They're so thick. They don't bow. They're nice, large signs. And I'm going to cover up all of the writing on the chalkboard with some Dollar Tree like wood contact paper, cutting off all of the sides with a sanding block. So much easier than cutting that fabric down. And then we're going to start here on the back. The only tricky part of this is getting the little tag off. I'm going to try a combination of a Dollar Tree scraper and a heat gun to get that off, and we can DIY a cute little fall leaf sign here for the back. I think it's going to look nice and coastal with the blue gingham. But I want to bring in some make it look like a hand-painted sign as well. So the first thing I'm going to do is to brighten this up, I'm going to go over the black chalkboard with some ivory chalk paint and just do one coat all over. And then I want this to look like a wood grain. So to get that, I'm going to now use my Antique Wax by Waverly and a chunky brush, and I'm just going to distress the whole sign in one direction. It's going to give me like that faux wood grain that I was looking for. So I just cover the whole thing, dragging my brush through, kind of giving it, a little swirly here and there to make it look like little knots of the wood. And then I wipe off the excess with a paper towel because I didn't want it to be super dark. I kind of wanted it to look more like driftwood. And that is a great way to take a Dollar Tree chalkboard and make it look like a real wood sign. See all the texture on that? It looks really cool. Now here is the little leaf that we covered with the blue gingham fabric. And then I'm going to use my Cricut to cut down a little message for the top. I wanted it to be a hand-painted sign, so I'm using some of the stencil vinyl that I get on Amazon. And I just cut out this saying. I'm not sure if I still have this Cricut file. If I do, I'll share it below. If not, I'll try to share the font that I used on that. But I just cut that out of Cricut vinyl, and then I'm going to use my favorite paper transfer vinyl to put my stencil right here on the top. I made it just to size so it'll fit perfectly above the little leaf we're going to attach. And it's going to say, "It's fall, y'all." And I just used a little stencil dauber from the Dollar Tree and some ivory chalk paint and go over the top of my stencil. One of the things I love doing most is making hand-painted signs with my Cricut. But you know what? You could also cut out this vinyl, like with a matte white vinyl or something like that. It's going to give you a similar appearance. So time to remove my stencil and weed out any of the in-between letters. And it turned out pretty good, but I can always touch it up a little bit with a tiny brush for any areas that need it. And I love that saying. I think that looks really cute. I'm going to pop a hole in the back of the contact paper that we added to the back of the chalkboard so that I can string in some Dollar Tree twine to make a hanger. I'm going to tie that in the front with a knot on each side. And as you can see, I made y'all kind of go over to the left so I would have enough room for the leaf to go right next to it. Kind of made it just to size. I'm going to use a combination of wood glue and hot glue to attach my little leaf to the sign. But you could totally just use hot glue if you'd like. And kind of have it upright but tilting over to the side like that. Cute little fall sign. Now, I thought it needed maybe a little bow. So I'm going to use some Dollar Tree raffia. I'm really not a fan of working with this stuff, but I'm going to grab some, cut that down to size, try to leave it all together, and then just tie that into a simple bow. And amazingly, it kind of worked. But it did take, a couple attempts. I usually try to steal these that are pre-made off of other DIYs that I've already made, but Dollar Tree does carry raffia sometimes. It can be a little hard to find, but usually they carry it at least for fall. And I'm going to kind of put it over in this area that doesn't really have anything, just gluing that down. Just going to provide another little fun texture, and this is how it turned out. It's my little "It's Fall, Y'all" fabric leaf sign. What do you guys think about this one? I think it looks nice and coastal, but definitely really cute for fall.
Not really that beachy blue color that I use a lot, but again, I really love blue for fall. And I encourage you to step out of regular fall colors.
We're going to make a really fun wood bead pumpkin, and we're going to start with one of these wood pumpkin signs from Dollar Tree. I was really excited. I went to Dollar Tree today and found a lot of their new items this year for fall. Very cute stuff this year. And I am just going to paint the background of this raised panel wood pumpkin sign in this beautiful turquoise acrylic color. I really only wanted to try to get like the back part, which maybe my brush was too big, so I was having a little bit of trouble keeping it off the front panel. But in the end, it doesn't really matter because I'm going for that coastal farmhouse feel on this, so it doesn't have to be perfect. So just want all of that to be kind of that bright turquoise color, and it's actually going to kind of peek out from behind what we're going to do to this little pumpkin sign. So we got that all painted, and then for the raised panels, you could cover it with something like fabric or paper, but I thought it would be really cute to stain it since it is real wood, right? So I'm just going to use some Antique Wax by Waverly and just go over my little raised panels with that. And then just wiping off the excess. Leaves me that great stain, and it like really brings out that wood grain in the pumpkin. We're going to do that for all three of these. And then I did say that this was going to be a wood bead pumpkin. So this is kind of the painting and the staining that we're going to do on it. And then we're going to add some of the Dollar Tree wood beads to this. The wood beads that I'm using are the ones that are strung together. They have several different kinds. You could always string your own because they do have them like loose now too. Whatever you've got. I measure out about how long I need, and then I tied mine off so that it wouldn't go everywhere. And I just want to go around like the center part right here to line that. And then I also want to go around the edges too. And that's what I was talking about. Like the turquoise color is a little bright back there, but really it's just going to be kind of peeking out from behind this. So I used twine to tie off this because I didn't have a lot of play on it. I didn't want all of my wood beads to like fall off of there. I find it's way easier to attach wood beads to things like this if you keep them all strung together. So all three sides kind of like that. Shortening this one and tying it off. And now I can just glue the wood beads to this pumpkin, and it is going to look really cute. So I just cut off my excess twine, and then I just start up here at the top and just start gluing these on. Now I really like the wood half beads. I get those on Amazon sometimes, and they are really cute on signs too, but I've never seen those at Dollar Tree. So this is kind of a Dollar Tree option if you want like a wood bead look for your sign or your pumpkin. So I glue that section on, and then I'm going to start gluing this section on as well, just kind of working one section at a time. And I'm really glad that I decided to paint the background sign like that turquoise color because I think it looks really cute, like peeking out from behind. Got all of that glued down, and now we can also decorate the stem of the little pumpkin. And I had a scrap piece of white nautical rope just laying around, so I just glued that to the back and just wrap that around. And then when you get to the very top, you can kind of glue it to itself and cut off the excess rope. And rope works great for a pumpkin stem, especially for a coastal feel. Now, since I used that chunky rope, I decided to attach a little Dollar Tree tiny wood block from the crafter square on the back, just to make sure that it kind of hangs straight against or flush against my wall. And then I took some Dollar Tree twine on the back, tied it around the stem, and just made a very simple hanger kind of hidden underneath of the rope. And this seashell is the perfect final touch. I just glue one to the top of our little coastal pumpkin, and this is how it turned out. I think it's really pretty with the stained wood. You can really see that wood grain with the turquoise peeking out behind the wood beads, and I just left those wood beads that natural color. I think that looks great with coastal.
And it's not too much blue, it's just a little bit peeking out. I always love doing that with DIYs. And I love those pumpkin signs. They're one of my favorite things to DIY with.
Now, this one I wanted to make a little blue truck full of pumpkin sign from Dollar Tree, but I wanted kind of a square background. I took the paper off of this one just because it was already loose, but Usually that's not the way these Dollar Tree signs work, but since it was, I went with it, right? And that way the hanger can stay on the back of this Dollar Tree wood like sign. And I'm just painting over the top of it with some ivory chalk paint. And then I go back with some Antique Wax by Waverly and just distress in one direction to give me a nice coastal background for a little blue truck sign. Now, I got this little blue truck sign at Dollar Tree, but I wanted to flip it over and kind of paint it myself and see if I can make it look a little bit more high-end and less like printed paper. So it was a little jagged, so I sanded all of the edges of my little blue truck, and then I also filled the holes from the hanger with some spackle. And we're going to use some of that agave chalk paint by Waverly and make our own little blue truck on the back. The great thing is you can just flip it over and look at the other side for any details you might want to put on there. I kind of wanted to do my own like little 3D pumpkins in the back of this little blue truck. And I've done lots of little blue truck DIYs, especially for fall. It's one of my favorite things. I think it looks nice and coastal, goes with my beach vibe, but also looks really fun for fall too. So you know I'm going to distress it with a little ivory, right? So I totally do, working in one direction. I think it gives all of my like coastal projects just that coastal farmhouse vibe. And then I'm just using paint pen and I'm going to draw on like the back window of the truck. And I kind of played around with different colors on this one. This was gold is what I started with. And I thought that would look good for fall, but I do touch this up a lot, you'll see. And I kind of do the little rails here on the truck. It's going to kind of be like veering out, so it's wider at the front of the, back. So I just keep flipping it over and looking and seeing any details that need to be added, like the back bumper and like the back of the truck. I'm going to have mine with like no tailgate, all open so we can fill it with pumpkins. And then I also distress all of that paint that I just put on there with some more of the ivory, just to kind of make it look a lot softer. And then for the back window, I actually just used some Antique Wax by Waverly to fill that in. And I'm also using that on the little tires instead of like a harsher black. And then I'm also going to distress my truck to kind of make it look older, kind of rustier with the Antique Wax by Waverly too. And then I thought it might be a little dark, so then I go back and distress those Antique Wax by Waverly parts with some ivory too. And then I was just kind of playing around with it, trying to figure out, I like the gold paint pen, but I do think it needs like some more details, and I will touch it up a little bit more. But this is what we're going to use for the little pumpkins in the back. These little clothespin pumpkins from the Dollar Tree. I wish they didn't have clothespins on them. Sometimes they pop right off. Sometimes they can be a challenge. But if you're lucky, you can find some without those on there. But I kind of wanted these because they have little, details on there. And if I paint them orange, you can kind of still see the details on there. So I can kind of hand paint lots of little wood pumpkins really easily. And I'm just using orange chalk paint and doing one coat on each one of the raw wood to make my little pumpkins. And you could soften that color up too if you didn't want quite so bright of an orange. Once I get all of these pumpkins, I think that's going to be plenty to fill up the back. I give them a quick dry and then just use a paint pen. I can draw on all the little pumpkin leaves very easily because I can kind of see through there. You could also use little foam pumpkins from the Dollar Tree if you wanted to cut them in half to make it even more 3D. I didn't want mine to stick out too much. And then I used my gold paint pen, kind of a tannish color, to do my little pumpkin stems. And then it's a matter of filling up the back of my truck with the pumpkins. So I kind of start here at the back of the top and just start gluing those in there, kind of going every which way, but kind of up, still all upright, to fill up the back of our truck. And then I thought we could kind of overlap those as we go. where they overlap slightly. It's going to make them look like they're all kind of piled on top of each other in the back of the truck. It's a good idea to lay them out first to make sure that you're going to have enough. I actually had one too many. Now I wanted a little custom license plate, kind of what they had on the other side. And so I just used like a jumbo popsicle stick and just cut that with scissors kind of down to size. It's going to cover that up. Just something fun that we can make a little custom license plate for the back of our little blue truck. The first thing I do is give it a coat of ivory, just because I want it to have a nice white background. And then I'm going to use a couple Dollar Tree fall stickers to decorate it. They have this really cute one that says Happy Harvest. Thought that was really fun for fall. They also have these really cute little pumpkins and stuff like that. They had little detail pieces that I thought would be cute on each side. Then once I get them on there, I also distress it with a little Antique Wax by Waverly to make it have that coastal farmhouse vibe. And then just hot glue that on the little bump out there for the license plate. And this was a project I kind of worked with until I was happy with it. I thought the details were a little muted on the truck, the way that I painted it. I mean, I want them to look, more farmhouse than the paper, but I also wanted you to see the edges. So the first thing I did was try to just go around like all the edges with that same gold paint pen to see if I liked that a little bit better. Just to kind of try to brighten it up. And the license plate as well. And that's what it looks like so far, like on my little coastal background. Then I decided, nope, I wanted to have white. If it had a white border, it would really make it pop. So I do a really sloppy paint job with my white paint pen to give it like a distressed white look. And I was so much happier with that. And it kind of makes sense with my like white sign underneath of it. So I outlined the truck details, the tires, the rear window. And then I also distressed all of the pumpkins with a little ivory as well. I think it looks so much better with the white. So you can save yourself a few steps and just do a white paint pen to begin with. I also distressed my truck a little bit more with some more ivory, just to totally give it that old vintage vibe. And painting over those stickers do kind of make them look a little bit better. I'm going to use some wood glue and some hot glue on the back of this to make it even sturdier. And whenever you stack those Dollar Tree signs, you're going to get a way better sign in the end. And I just glued that to the front. I think the last thing it needs is a bow. I'm going to use a combination of some Dollar Tree bows and burlaps. I got the orange burlap, some orange and like tan gingham, some burlap and orange pumpkins, and I even found some like little red truck pumpkin ribbon. And I'm just going to do a really simple expo on this. Super fun, kind of working from larger to smaller and cinching the little expo together with just a zip tie on the back. I love making expos because they're so easy, so forgiving. And you can get lots of different textures and colors going on there. And they're so easy to make. So I was trying to decide what I wanted to cover my little zip tie part with. And my extra pumpkin. Or I had a little metal leaf off of another fall DIY. And I decided to use that. I like the contrast. And this is how it turned out. Our little blue truck. Full of pumpkins, so cute for fall.
I've done so many little blue truck for fall DIYs here on my channel. You can tell I'm a big fan of them. Again, it would be cute with the little red truck too if you wanted to do something like that, but I kind of like the idea of adding my own pumpkins.
Okay, the next DIY, I'm going to take one of these little boxes, wood boxes from Dollar Tree, and it's the one with the little slatted sides, and I want to make a book stack with this. Now, I noticed when I was at Dollar Tree today, they do have some fall book stacks. They're bigger, the book stacks, but you could totally do it with that as well if you wanted to do your own thing. Now, mine had the little openings on the side, which I just covered with masking tape. And I want 3 little books for fall, but I want them all to be different colors, but I want them to go with like my color scheme for fall. So I want the middle book to be ivory. So I just went over all 4 sides, the middle section ivory. And then I want my next book to be orange, but I kind of wanted it a little bit lighter than the pumpkin color. So I mixed a little ivory with that to give me this light orange color for my top book. And then I'm going to have to use some painter's tape to protect the ivory book that we already did there, that second one. Just taping that off all the way around. And then I can finish painting that top book, that light orange color. And I'm going to use my Cricut to make little titles on this. Just a really cute little fall book stack. And I kind of had an idea with this. I kind of wanted to do like a pumpkin spice theme. So once I get those 2 painted, I then tape off the bottom or the middle book again, this time lining it up with that seam there in that wood crate. I loved making little book stacks out of these. I think they look so cute. And this one, I kind of wanted it to be kind of more of a mint green color. So I actually kind of mixed some colors together. I mixed the agave with a little bit of green and a little bit of ivory to give me a really pretty color. Nice and beachy. And I just painted the bottom book stack with that one. Now it's time to customize this. I went to my Cricut and I cut down vinyl to make lettering for each title. I kind of wanted it to have that Rae Dunn look, so I used the font called the Skinny for these. And I did a spice and orange vinyl. And I did everything in white. I kind of had to do different colors for each book so that you could see the contrast. I was trying to use some Dollar Tree vinyl again, which can be a little challenging. And then I also did pumpkin in white. So I did each one of them separately, a different title for each book. And then I'm just going to use that paper transfer paper to put these on here. You could always try, hand lettering with a paint pen if you're confident in your writing. Or if you kind of want it to look perfect, you can do the vinyl. I struggled with that Dollar Tree vinyl on this one though. The skinny font can be a little bit difficult, but I was able to save it and get everything secure. But what it says is pumpkin spice everything, which is so fun. And that's totally me for fall. Now I wanted to finish it off with a little mug of pumpkin spice, right? And I had some window decals from Dollar Tree. And I had a little cup of pumpkin spice. So I just took one of those, Mod Podged that to a wood domino from the Dollar Tree. These are easy to cut, kind of like popsicle sticks. And that way I can kind of cut my little cup of pumpkin spice latte down to size. And this is going to be a fun little decoration for our book stack. I love trying to find creative ways to use the little window decals from Dollar Tree because they're so cute. I love getting them for every season. Now to tie the books together, I'm going to use like an orange and white gingham ribbon from Dollar Tree. And I'm just going to glue that underneath the crate, wrap it around, and attach it on the other side too. Then we can just add the little cup of pumpkin spice latte here to the front for decoration. And I just attach mine to the ribbon with a little dot of hot glue. I think it turned out so cute, and I think it would look really cute with like one of these little Target dollar spot blue pumpkins right on top to display it. And this would be really cute for any kind of like tier tray decor or anything like that, or just for just about anywhere.
And you can make the larger version of this too. I know they have like the fall books right now that have like decor on them already. You could always redo them. They even have some like vertically, and I've never really thought to display them like that, but I think that would look really cute as well.
Okay, the next Dollar Tree DIY, I'm actually going to thrift flip this sign. I actually got this like on sale at Goodwill for like 50 cents. And it's just a heavy wood sign. I wanted something heavy duty that I can make a little shelf sitter sign with using one of those little slatted acorn signs from the Dollar Tree. So the first thing I need to do, I love the color of the sign. So I kind of want to match that. So I'm going to mix some turquoise and blues and greens together to give me that same color. That's the vibe I was looking for. And I am just going to repaint this sign. Now, Goodwill is a great source if you want a heavy-duty sign like this that is made out of real wood, and sometimes you can get it even cheaper than the Dollar Tree. Even though my Goodwill has discontinued their sales, you don't get any points anymore for like free gift cards. They still have like a paid discount program, but I find I don't shop there as much because I really would clean up at the 50% off home decor section. So that is perfect. It's going to be the perfect size to attach one of these little slatted acorn signs. So this is similar to the wood leaf slatted sign that they have at Dollar Tree, but this one is the acorn version. Now, I thought since it has different slats, we could do the different slats, different colors, right? So I'm doing the 2 outer and the 1 center one in ivory. Now, I am going to use a little painter's tape on those just to kind of protect them because I wanted to do the other 2 slats of my acorn in a stain. So I'm going to stain those with Antique Wax by Waverly. It's going to bring out that beautiful wood grain in the wood sign. And try to get in the little slats as well. Wiping off the excess with a baby wipe leaves me a nice stain there for it. Did get a little bit of bleeding with that Dollar Tree painter's tape, but that's okay. It's just going to make it look distressed, which I did want to distress all the edges of the whiteboard anyway, so why not? And I just wipe off the excess with a baby wipe, and now we kind of have like a multi-toned little acorn to decorate for this sign. I also decided to distress the wood parts with some ivory to kind of make it blend in a little bit, kind of lightening it up, trying to make it look a little bit more like driftwood for this coastal fall acorn. Now for the hanger part, there was holes, so I'm going to kind of disguise that by putting twine through it and tying it in the front, making a little bow, so a little decorative touch, and that way I don't have to fill up the holes in the top of the sign. I just kind of put them to use. This is how it looks against that beautiful like blue sign that we DIY'd. And then I kind of want to distress this as well with some ivory just to kind of give it that same feel, make it not look quite so perfect. And so I do the sides and the front and just wipe off any of the excess ivory with a baby wipe. And then I thought we could add like a Dollar Tree fall sign to the front to kind of make it a little bit of a message. I'm going to attach this little acorn down to the sign with just a little hot glue on each one of the slats. And then this is the little welcome fall sign from the Dollar Tree that we can add to the front of the acorn. I just kind of distressed mine all over with the ivory that we used on the acorn. And I was trying to decide what else would go great on there, and I decided a seashell would be perfect. So I just kind of went through my stash, found a nice size seashell that the colors look great together. I didn't want it to be too colorful, and then it's just a matter of figuring out how I want to put it together. So I just use hot glue to glue down the welcome fall sign and a seashell. I like that seashell. It looks nice and weathered. It goes great with like the driftwood parts of the acorn. And I distress it with a little ivory as well to help bring out that beautiful texture on the seashell. So it's really fun to mix, like coastal touches like this in with fall. It's easier to do than you think, as you can see. And then I thought maybe some fall leaves for the top of the acorn would be cute. Just trying to figure out which one I wanted. I decided on a green one. And sometimes you can get some like more colorful fall leaves from the Dollar Tree as well. I wanted to bring in another fun touch, and I thought maybe like a gold metallic one would be a nice little surprise up there as well. Be a nice contrast against the green one. And I'm going to hot glue that one to the stem of our acorn as well, just to provide a little bit more color up there. And just kind of trimming up my little bow at the top. And this little fall DIY is complete. This is how it looks in my house. I have it sitting next to my little acorn shaker there. And I think it's really sweet. What do you guys think about the little slatted acorn DIY?
You can mix a little bit of blue wherever, but I love the idea of like the seashell on there. Just a little bit of coastal brought in.
Now, I apologize for the quality on this one. I think this is an old video editing software. I don't know what it was doing with the light, but I wanted to show you because it was a quick, easy DIY. It's one of these little blue frames from the Dollar Tree that had like all these messages on it. I think this was like said love and stuff like that. It was really bright, but basically all I did was use fingernail polish remover on the back of the glass to take all of the paint off. And now I have a nice little coastal beachy blue frame where I can add a window decal for fall. So just a quick, easy DIY. If you're short on time, but you want a little fall decor, I chose the little Hello Fall window cling and just stuck it directly on the glass. And then I had a little burlap bow left over from another DIY that I took off. So I thought I might as well use it right up there in the corner. And you couldn't get any easier than that. A little Hello Fall glass sign. So if you see some of those glass signs like that with stuff on it, know that sometimes you can get it off with fingernail polish and you can have like a blank canvas. And I think it turned out really cute.
They also have some Dollar Tree frames that are clear like this that don't have any back. And those stickers would work really well on there as well. But here it is, Hello Fall.
Okay, sorry for the lighting on this one. This was kind of the same issue, old editing software. Gave me a flashy video. I don't know why, but it was a cute DIY, so I thought I would still share it with you, and I didn't have the original footage. So I'm going to use this wood pumpkin sign from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to show you how you can make a really pretty like coastal pumpkin using a decal from the Dollar Tree. Now I kind of wanted a mint green, so I just mixed a couple of colors together to kind of get me that mint green color. I think is so pretty, and I'm just going to paint all over this just raw wood pumpkin. Of course, I made a custom color and then I didn't mix enough paint. But I just mixed a little green together with the agave. Next up, I'm going to put down a layer of Mod Podge because we're going to use one of the large window decals from the Dollar Tree. This one says Fall Breeze Autumn Leaves. Has a clear background, so I thought that'd be really cute to decorate a little fall sign with. I'm just going to make sure that there's no bubbles and lay that flat. I also go over the whole pumpkin with the Mod Podge. That way it kind of has like the same finish when it dries. Now I wanted to kind of layer signs together, so I'm going to use one of the little Dollar Tree black chalkboards and cover it with some of that removable wallpaper from the Dollar Tree to make an easy little background sign. And I'm just going to cut that down to size, cover that chalkboard with it. It is like a wood pattern, and I thought it would be kind of an interesting design behind the pumpkin. So I just kind of peel and stick that to the front of the chalkboard, and you have a really quick, easy little base for the back. And then we can attach the little pumpkin to the front like that. I did kind of want to do something for the pumpkin stem, and so I just tie some of the thicker twine around the pumpkin stem and then just wrap that around, making a very simple little coastal pumpkin stem. And I am just going to secure that on the back. That did kind of make that area a little bit more raised than the back of the sign. So I'm probably going to have to use kind of a spacer in between. Otherwise, it's not going to lay real flat. And I thought some of the little Jenga blocks from Dollar Tree would be perfect for that. So I'm just going to glue one of those on both sides and then one here kind of in the middle. And then I can glue those to our back sign. And then I also wanted to decorate this with a little bit of greenery. I thought that would give fun vibes. And I found this great kind of hanging greenery from the Target dollar spot that I thought would look kind of good. I kind of like the color on it. And I just hot glued that behind my pumpkin and kind of make that peek out, kind of like draping down the sides of the pumpkin, kind of like pumpkin vines. Now, since that was a vertical sign, I'd need to kind of make it a horizontal sign. And so I'm just going to do that by attaching some twine to the back of it with a little hot glue and a little burlap as well. And this was a really cute little fall sign. I use this in my kitchen for fall, and I really like the addition of the greenery. I think that's super fun. I did tack a few pieces down just to kind of keep it in place. And I love DIYing with decals from the Dollar Tree. It looks so cute. And only a couple items there from the Dollar Tree, some greenery from the Target dollar spot. And I love that minty color of greenish blue.
And they have lots of variations of wood right now in the removable wallpaper that makes a great background like that for a sign of any type, but I love a good blue pumpkin.
The next two fall DIYs are going to be little scarecrows. So I'm going to use two of these long signs from the Dollar Tree. It can be any of them. These just happen to be the fall ones. And then two of the little hanging scarecrows from the Dollar Tree. And I want to make little shelf sitters out of them. So this is going to kind of be the structure. These little signs, I'm going to make them vertical. So I just kind of need to cover the writing up that was on there. And so I'm just going over mine with some ivory chalk paint to kind of cover up all of the words. I always notice that whenever you have white writing or writing on white, white does a really good job of masking that. And then I'm going to start on our first little scarecrow by removing him completely from his frame, ripping out the staples and the ribbon from the back. I'm going to use all of the pieces, but instead of a hanging sign, we're going to make this a little standing sign. And we're also going to give him a little coastal makeover. So I'm going to start with chalk paint. This is agave, but you could use any acrylic. I just wanted like a beachy blue. And I went over his like little pants, his jean pants, his sleeves as well. Those were also blue to kind of give him that beachy blue vibe. Now I do want this to be, it's going to be visible a little bit. So I thought I would do like a, like a driftwood finish. So I just go over that white paint with a thin layer of Antique Wax by Waverly and kind of gave me that nice driftwood finish. And then I'm just going to touch this up with a second coat of blue on all of the clothing on this cute little scarecrow. And we're just going to kind of make this look more high-end, a little bit better. I'm going to go ahead and glue his pants down and see how there's enough room on this size sign to get all three pieces connected. This had a little glitter, so I'm going to try to sand that off the sign. And then I want a blank canvas on this to kind of do my own thing, maybe not so busy. So again, I'm using ivory chalk paint and a tiny brush this time, so I don't really, paint over the little straw hands or anything too much. Kind of have to get in there a little bit, but I just want a blank canvas for that. Then I go over with Antique Wax by Waverly again, just working in one direction to kind of give me like a faux wood grain. And then I don't really want the arms to be that color though. So once I got that on there, I kind of had to wipe that off a little bit, the distressing, and kind of give it, another touch of blue. It was just easier to drag it all the way across. So maybe you should paint the sleeves after instead of staining your sign first. Do as I say, not as I do, right? So I got that all dry, and then I'm going to use one of the little Dollar Tree Hello Autumn signs to decorate mine. And I just go in and paint it ivory as well. It's going to be nice and simple. And I love these for fall. They're so cute. I'm going to attach it with some hot glue here to our little sign. Then I'm going to distress. My stain was a little dark. I want it to kind of look like driftwood. So I go in with some ivory and just distress that a little bit. I also stain the distress, the Hello Autumn, with the Antique Wax by Waverly too, wiping off any excess with a baby wipe and kind of cleaning it up a little bit. I noticed that some of the details of the straw were kind of painted over, so I just kind of touched that up with just a little black ink pen, just to make that look a little bit sharper. And so this is like the middle section of the Scarecrow, and there'll be just enough room to attach a little Scarecrow head up top. And this DIY was so fun to make, and I think they turned out so cute. I think they look so much better than they started out with. So it's time to DIY a little Scarecrow face. I wanted his face to look kind of like that stained wood grain too. So I go over it with some Antique Wax by Waverly, but I'm kind of staining over paper. So you can't get a really good stain, but I did get it kind of tan looking. Then I'm going to go in and paint his little nose orange. I probably should have painted that white first because it was a little dark. So I go in and do a coat of ivory over it, and then go back in with my orange paint pen, and it got a lot brighter, just that little diamond shape, just to kind of make it look more hand painted, more homemade. I'm going to use some of this burlap ribbon from the Dollar Tree to make him a cute little Scarecrow hat, but I thought you might be able to see the green through the burlap, so I did give it a coat of ivory first before we make his little hat. I just glued the ribbon straight on. It was almost big enough, I think, to go to the tip. Once I got it glued on with hot glue, then I just go in with some sharp scissors and cut that as close as I can. I did notice you could still kind of see through this part here, so I did a second layer for the cat part. That kind of made the brim look a little different. And then a black Sharpie for some stitching on his little Scarecrow nose. Gonna attach this to the top of the sign with a little bit of hot glue. And we have a little Scarecrow. I'm also going to use that black Sharpie to draw like the cuffs back on, kind of outline his sleeves a little bit, give a little bit more detail. I also distressed the blue with the ivory to kind of give me that weathered coastal farmhouse vibe. And then trying to figure out like some kind of coastal decoration, something really subtle for his little hat. And I decided to use some of this blue starfish ribbon from the Shore Living line at Dollar Tree. Goes great with his outfit. And then maybe one of these little starfish to finish it off. I get these on Amazon. I always have those linked in my shop below. I love crafting with them. They're so cute. And then I want it to be a stand-up. It was kind of flimsy, so I just glue a wood block into the back, another one of those Jenga blocks from Five Below, and now he is strong enough to kind of stand up on his own. I thought maybe a few more burlap touches would be cute, so I cut a little patch there for his pants, and then a second one up here, kind of like what was on there before, but a more textured version. Now it's time to make the misses. So this is the other version. Probably doesn't matter what you start with because I paint everything, right? So I wanted to make this one like a nice fall color to go with the blue, but I wanted to mix it up a little bit. So I decided to do pumpkin orange color. So again, I just painted over the pants with that orange chalk paint, a couple of coats to get good coverage. And I thought like that agave blue color would go really nicely with the orange and work really well for fall. So again, this sign had glitter on it. I just give it a quick sand and I'm going to paint my little sign ivory like I did before, avoiding the straw hands if I can, but covering up everything that was on there before. Now, while that was drying, I gave another quick touch up to my pants, and then I was smarter this time. I stained the sign with Antique Wax by Waverly before I painted the sleeves. Then using a baby wipe to kind of wipe that off, the sleeves and arms, so I can kind of know where to go in and paint that. And it just gives me kind of like a driftwood feel for the little sign. I go over it with one more coat because I thought it was a little bit light. So anytime you combine like ivory paint underneath and the antique wax by Waverly over the top, you can get that driftwood finish. But sometimes you need to go back in there with the ivory to kind of get like the exact feel you're going for. And I think that looks pretty good. So now I can paint the sleeves. It's better to do it now. And I just paint each one, avoiding the little, straw parts for the hand. If you wanted to be super extra, you could kind of do some of the Dollar Tree grass skirts for the raffia or some raffia for those areas too, to add another texture. But they were kind of so small, I didn't think it was really necessary. So this is the second sign. I'm going to glue the pants onto this one. And then we can decorate the little sign being held by the Scarecrow with the little arms. I just distressed all the orange again with ivory and kind of put the details back on there with a black ink pen. This one I'm going to have say, Welcome Fall, another one of those little wood signs from the Dollar Tree. And I paint that one ivory as well. And I'm going to put that on our little wood sign by gluing that one right to the front. So it's kind of a multi-step process to turn these little scarecrows into these sitters, but oh my gosh, they turned out so cute. I do distress that Welcome Fall there with the little antique wax by Waverly to give it that same feel. And now it's time to do her little scarecrow head as well. I do the same thing. I stain her face with a little antique wax by Waverly. Kind of give it a more muted tone. I paint her little hat ivory and her nose as well. That way I can go in there with my orange paint pen and draw her little nose back on. And I'm going to make her hat the same exact way. Some of the burlap ribbon from the Dollar Tree. I glue that over the ivory paint and then I cut off any of the excess. And I call mine his and hers, but it could be two boys. It doesn't really matter. They both have kind of like overalls on, so it's kind of the same vibe, but I thought maybe different colors, just make them look like a little set. For her little ribbon, I used some of this like fall orange gingham ribbon from the Dollar Tree. It's got like a nice tan that I think goes nice with the burlap. And then a little seashell to decorate her hat. I draw some stitches back on the little orange nose like I did before with a fine tip Sharpie. Or an ink pen, I guess, on this one. And then I glue this right on the top. Don't they look cute together? So all she needs is like a wood block in the back of hers and maybe a few patches on her little pants as well. I kind of do them like alternating with the first. And here is the wood block just in the back. And that's just to weigh down the bottom and to make it stand up well. And I like the brown check pattern on the side of those fall signs, so I didn't really have to do anything with those, but this is how they turned out. Our little Hello Autumn and Welcome Fall scarecrows. I think they're so cute. And I think anytime you paint these Dollar Tree signs, you're going to make them look way more high end. Aren't they cute? I love the little tiny coastal touches too. If you wanted to do just one, you could just do the blue wood if you're just going for the coastal, but I really like them displayed together as a set. I think they turned out really cute. The next DIY, I actually got this little leaf glass tray at my Goodwill store for half off. So it was like 50 cents. And I thought it would make a really cute tray for my entryway for fall, but I wanted to update it. I didn't want it to be just the clear glass. So I'm going to see what I can do. I thought if I painted it from behind, it would look really cute, but I kind of needed it to be like a spray paint. So I'm just making sure that my glass is really clean. I'm just using a little alcohol to clean it down. And then what I'm going to do for this is I'm going to try to make my own like homemade spray paint using a water bottle with some water and some acrylic paint and this turquoise color. And see if I can make my own spray paint with that, just mixing it up. I thought if I used a brush and regular paint, you would be able to see some of the brush strokes and stuff like that. So I thought spray paint would work better. And I kind of didn't have any, so I just kind of made my own. So what I did was went over the whole thing with one coat of that DIY spray paint and then followed that up with my heat gun to dry a layer on there. There's other techniques you could use for this as well. Like you could try tinting some like glue with that and kind of do the frosting method, but I wanted to see if I could do it with paint. So that's what it looks like with 2 layers, and I just keep using my heat gun to dry that onto it. And I think it actually turned out really cute. So I just kept drying it and repeating another spray until I got coverage that I was happy with. And it's got like that great like leaf vein pattern there on the bottom. And then it's still like the clear glass on top, which kind of makes it look more polished. So just cleaning up any of it that might have came through on this side of my tray. And I have a cute little blue tray for my entryway for fall. It goes great with my coastal fall. So that was a quick little 50-cent thrift flip, and I'm really glad I decided to make it blue. My DIY spray paint actually turned out really well. This is how it turned out. Isn't it beautiful? I think it's so much prettier than it was when it was just clear glass.
So if you find anything clear like that at Dollar Tree or the thrift store, just remember you can give it a little bit of color and make it a more colorful, fun piece for your decor.
The next DIY, it's kind of coastal fall, but I decided to have some fun and get colorful. I wanted to try like a ping pong ball wreath. Instead of using like giant wood beads, you use ping pong balls. And I found these colored ping pong balls at the dollar spot at Target, so I don't even have to paint them. I'm just drilling a hole in them all the way through. I just put a piece of wood down so I could go all the way through. That way I can just string it on one of those like brass wreaths that you see there from the Dollar Tree, just like you string beads on. Now the colors kind of work nice together. Some of them are a little bit more colorful than I like the purple. So I don't think I'm going to use that one, but I just went ahead and pre-drilled all the holes. I also have to cut the wreath form to be able to string them on like wood beads, and it's just a really fun way to do like a lightweight giant wood bead wreath without having to have giant wood beads. They look just like wood beads, right? And so I'm kind of trying to figure out the colors I want to go with, and I decided to avoid the pink ones and the purple ones, trying to stick with some more earthy colors that kind of reminded me of fall. And I'm just using the sanding block to kind of get off any excess plastic from drilling holes in those and just filling up part of the wreath form with those. I don't want to do the whole thing because I want to do some other things on this wreath as well. So I'm just going to use some floral wire from the Dollar Tree to try to tie this little wreath form back together and try to make it secure. I tie it and then just wrap that wire around until I think it's secure. I also put a little hot glue on there too to try to help. Now, since it's a fall leaf, I thought we would use some leaves from the Dollar Tree. And I usually use the blue ones, and the blue ones would be really pretty for fall. But I was trying to make this one like super colorful. And I've already got some blue like ping pong balls on there. But I also have orange ones, so I decided to go with the orange ones. Now, I just kind of secured some of those wood beads in place, or ping pong balls in place, so they'll stay put. And then we're going to fill up the other half of the wreath form with these bright orange leaves from the Dollar Tree. I just cut them apart in individual strands, and then I'm just using zip ties to attach them. And this was really fun to put together. It's got like all the colored beads, it's got leaves, and then I'm also going to add a sign to it as well for a fun fall sign for my door. Now, for the other direction, I am just having the leaves come together from the other direction, kind of facing the other way. And again, just using zip ties to attach all of those. I just kind of want them to meet up here in the middle. So I think it was 3 packages of the orange leaves that I used for this. But it definitely turned out super colorful and fun for fall. Now, I thought some of these little fall bow would be really cute on here. Here's like an orange, like kind of plaid bow that I can kind of tie onto the wreath form where the leaves meet up. And then I also thought some of these like burlap fall sunflowers would look really pretty for fall too. So I'm just going to pop off the end, kind of work those in with the leaves. And I had yellow in the wood beads as well, so I'm kind of bringing that color in. I decided I wanted 2 like on top here. And then I wanted to add one of these little metal truck signs to the front, and I'll have that on the other side of it. I went back and forth about hanging it in the middle or displaying it on the bottom, and I decided to display it on the bottom. Now I'm just filling the holes in the little metal truck from the hanger in with a little spackle, and I love the pumpkin design on here, but I didn't really want it to be a red truck. I wanted it to be a little blue truck to go with my coastal fall vibes, and so I'm going to protect the windshield and all those beautiful pumpkins just by taping those off with some painter's tape first, and then we can give this a cute little makeover. I'm also going to protect the bumper. I just want to be able to paint the red truck, and I want to paint it blue. But first I'm going to do a coat of ivory all over because I kind of want to mask the writing and stuff that's on there and kind of give me a blank canvas. And it's a little hard to paint, you know, directly over red to blue. So I think I got a pretty blank canvas there, and then I can follow that up with some chalk paint. I'm using the agave color. And that's going to match like one of the blue beads in the wreath form too. So I tried to keep with the same color schemes. I know there was a lot of colors on it, but it turned out really fun. I did go back and distress it all over with some ivory. And then we can just remove the painter's tape and use the existing scene that was already on there. And I think it looks so pretty now. Just touching up any of the details around the back window of the little truck. And around the bed of the truck. Isn't it cute? I decided to customize mine and make it personalized for my front door. So I'm actually going to add our last name to the tailgate. I also did red, details for the tail lights. I also sketched out the little rear view windows and the tailgate just using a white paint pen. And distressing those things as well. And using that white paint pen, I'm just going to freehand on a skinny font for our last name so we can hang this on the front door for fall. And I think that's a perfect place to put your name on a tailgate like that. And then I'm going to attach it to the bottom. It's got all those great colors that we used in our wreath in that little truck, and I think it really brings everything together. I used some hot glue to kind of attach it to some of the fall leaves that's behind it. But I also decided to make a strap because I thought that wasn't going to be strong enough. So I just used some burlap ribbon, glued that to the back of the truck, wrapped that around the wreath, and also secured it on the top part of the truck. And there it is, our super colorful like ping pong ball wreath. I'm just going to make a very simple twine hanger for the top. And this DIY is complete. It's definitely colorful, a little bit more colorful than I usually do with my decor, but I think it was really fun. And it was fun trying to use the little ping pong balls.
And if you don't want to go quite so colorful, you could always use all the same color. And you know what? I wonder if you could use like the white ping pong balls from Dollar Tree and give them like a distressing with a brown or an Antique Wax by Waverly. That could be cute. Okay, guys, it's time for the final reveal. I'm going to show you all 20 of the DIYs that I've made today. And you can also find me at Crafty Beach on YouTube on all social medias. Enjoy the final reveal.
Open up the window. I'm breathing in the last of September. I can feel the wind blow, and the late summer sky is like a giant ember. When the autumn leaves are playing chase it, puts a smile up on my face. They leave their branches one by one and whirl around there just for fun. Some are faster, some are slow, and some are high and some are low, dancing through the last days of September. Since I was a little child, every year for as long as I remember, all the leaves were running wild, going all the way until November. Turn the world around us into gold. When the autumn leaves are playing chase it, puts a smile up on my face. They leave their branches one by one and whirl around there just for fun. Some are faster, some are slow, and some are high and some are low, dancing through the last days of September. I wonder where they're going, the flight of swallows sailing through the sky. There's no way of knowing, but maybe someplace far from you and I. When the autumn leaves are playing chase it, puts a smile up on my face. They leave their branches one by one and whirl around there just for fun. Some are faster, some are slow, and some are high and some are low, dancing through the last days of September. When the autumn leaves are playing chase it, puts a smile up on my face. They leave their branches one by one and whirl around there just for fun. Some are faster, some are slow, and some are high and some are low, dancing through the last days of September. Dancing through the last days of September.
The train just left this town while I'm slowly heading back to my apartment. I'm not asking for your thoughts, I'm just thinking out loud in the darkness. Ooh, there's no point 'cause we both know. Ooh, from here there's nowhere to go. Someone said your heart is golden. All I got was my heart broken. I can see the dawn is coming just for you, for you. It's the only thing that tells me I'm breathing.
Thank you so much for making it all the way to the end of today's video. I also would like to thank my Crafty Beach Bum members. Thank you to Karen O'Haron, Melinda Elizabeth, Jamie Job, Susan Edmonds, Tracy Knight, Nancy Wunner, Janae Farrington, Julie Miller, Pamelia Wren, Maria Grace, Donna Schreiner, Sandy C., Live Another Day, Tracy Wooldridge, Marin Christensen, Debbie Middleton, Vicki Connors, Adrian Brolt, Deborah Caldwell, Red Mama, and our newest member, Tammy Muir. Thank you so much for supporting my channel. I appreciate you so much. If you'd like to become a Crafty Beach Bum member, all you have to do is hit the join button. You're going to get early ad-free access to my videos and shout outs as well. It's $4.99 a month and you're free to cancel anytime. Now, would you like more Dollar Tree DIYs? I've got you covered. Check out one of these videos right here. And until next time, happy crafting.